I'm Jessica Rollins. Today I'm going to be doing the donning and the doffing of PPE. So before I begin, I just want to explain the different isolation precautions. So you would always use standard precautions for each situation, and then on top of that you would do isolation precautions based on the diagnosis or symptoms of the patient. So the first one would be contact precautions, and that would be for something like MRSA, for example, and you would be wearing a gown and gloves. And if there's a possibility of coming in contact or getting splashed by that patient, by urine or blood, for example, then you would want to wear the gown, the gloves, mask, and goggles. And the next precaution would be droplet precaution. And on droplet precaution, you would want to wear a gown and a mask. And and then if you're coming in contact with that patient, then you would wear the gown, the mask, the gloves, and the goggles. And the last isolation precaution would be airborne precaution. And airborne precaution would be something like coronavirus or tuberculosis. And the previous one, the droplet precaution, would be something like rubella. So for the airborne precaution, you would want to have the air quality negative pressure, and you would want to wear an N95 mask, and the gown, the gloves, the N95 mask, and the goggles. So I'm going to start my skills now, and I'm going to get dressed like I'm going into a contact precaution with possibility of blood splatter. So I'm going to get completely dressed. So the very first thing I will be doing is washing my hands. So I'm washing my hands. And then I can look at the chart while I'm getting ready to see what type of isolation precautions are listed on the door, just to make sure that I'm following the correct standard precautions and the isolation precautions. So the very first thing I'm going to do is put on my gown. And when I put on my gown, I want to make sure that my arms are going through. And the first thing I'm going to do is tie it in the back of the neck. And then I'm going to tie the back. And I want to make sure that I have completely covered everything on my back, so no possibility of contamination. And then you're going to completely cover this, so I have no openings on any side of the gown, so I can't get any type of splatter on my scrubs. So everything would just go onto my gown. And then the very next thing I would put on would be my mask. And I put on the mask, and I want to make sure it's pinched at my nose, completely closed, and it's going down and covers my chin and goes onto the bottom of my chin, completely covered. And the next thing I will put on is the goggles, my protective eyewear. So I will put those on, make sure they're securely on behind my ears. And the last thing I will put on is my gloves. And the thing with the gloves is that if I was wearing a gown and I was going into an contact precaution and I was going to have contact, the gown would be completely covering my arm, and I would pull my glove over the top of my gown so there's no possibility of contact with my skin. So we're just going to pretend like that's the way it is right now, because I don't have a gown that goes like that. So I'm completely dressed and ready. My back is completely closed, and I'm going to go assess my patient. They might be feeling a little depressed and lonely because they're in isolation, and I'm going to see if they need any, just to cheer them up, or if they need some water, or if I can assist them with anything. So I'll go there. And then I just got done helping my patient. I will not leave the room with all this on, but I will go in a different isolation area to take this off appropriately. So the very first thing I'm going to do is remove my gloves. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to pinch the inside of my one glove and pull it completely off, hold it in my other glove's hand, and then I'm going to take my bare hand and slide it underneath my glove without touching any of the outside of my glove, just the inside where my clean hand is at. Fold them inside out, like that, and then I'm going to discard them in the contaminated bin. And then the next thing I will be doing is removing my goggles, and I will be touching just the rims of my goggles outside, and I will put those in the contaminated bin to be cleaned. And then the next thing I will be doing is untying the neck of my gown and the bottom of my gown, and I'm going to be pulling it away from my body by only touching the inside section of the neck and the shoulder area, and I'm going to pull it away from my body, folding it inside out and rolling it. So the contaminated possible fluid is on the inside or the outside of my gown, and I'm rolling it from the other way. I will put that in the proper bin, and during that, if I had any type of possibility of blood or something that contaminated my hands while I was in the process of removing the gloves or the goggles or the gown, then I would wash my hands right now or at any step along the way before proceeding to remove my PPE. So I don't have anything on my hands that need to be washed, so I'm going to remove my mask, and I will untie the bottom if I was wearing a tied one, untie the bottom, and then untie the top one so I could just pull it away from my face. But this is just the one that goes like that, so I'm just gonna remove it, throw it into the garbage, and then I will go and wash my hands with soap and water or hand sanitizer if that was appropriate and my hands were not soiled, but soap and water would be a good idea. And then I will go report and document. And that is my PPE. Thank you.